A few weeks ago, I asked for your suggestions on what car I should buy to write about and make videos with for the next few months. And you made suggestions. A lot of suggestions. So I've added everything up, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you the top 10 cars that you suggested I buy, along with some information about each one and a few interesting tidbits I learned from all the data. Now, if you want to know more about all the suggestions, click the link below to check out my column on autotrader.com/oversteer, where the whole thing is examined in greater depth with bar graphs and spreadsheets, and there's even a couple pie charts in there. The most amazing thing was the sheer number of suggestions, almost 20,000 on YouTube, another 5,500 on AutoTrader Oversteer, and then hundreds more on Facebook, Reddit, and Twitter. Now, it was too many for me to go through all on my own, as I have in the past, but fortunately this time I had some help from a data firm called Datanautics, who was able to go into the comments and get all of your Doug car suggestions. In the end, I totaled up about 7,600 suggestions with the help of Datanautics. I simply couldn't have done it without them. So, what exactly did you suggest? Well, you may have remembered that I specifically asked for SUVs, trucks, pickup trucks, that sort of thing, and I'm happy to report that 79.2% of you followed through with that and recommended an SUV, a truck, or a pickup truck. To the 20% who ignored me and recommended a coupe or a sedan or a convertible instead, well, I ignored you. The number 10 suggestion with 114 votes was the Ford F-150 SVT Lightning, which was a high-performance Ford F-150 that didn't really have any redeeming pickup qualities, but it did have some performance capabilities. Your number 9 suggestion with 120 votes was the GMC Syclone, another high-performance pickup truck, this one from the early 1990s, very rare, very unusual, very cool. Your number 8 suggestion with 147 votes was the Unimog, which is this crazy military-looking giant truck that Mercedes made for decades. I love the Unimog. I'm not quite sure where I would park it, but that wouldn't necessarily stop me from getting one. Your number 7 suggestion was the GMC Typhoon. I reviewed a Typhoon earlier this year. You might remember it. It's a high-performance SUV, maybe the first high-performance SUV. It's also very unusual and very cool. Number 6 was surprising to me with 148 votes, the Toyota Land Cruiser. If you don't know the Land Cruiser, it's an off-roader SUV that sort of became a luxury off-roader SUV in the last 15 or 20 years. Land Cruiser production has spanned decades, and the people who suggested it were often very specific about which Land Cruiser they wanted me to get. Number 5 with 165 votes, that would be the Chevrolet SSR. If you don't know the SSR, imagine a crazy convertible combined with a not very useful pickup truck, and it just looks insane. It's a ridiculous vehicle and it totally deserves to be on this list. I'm glad so many people suggested it. Number 4 with 174 votes, that would be the Isuzu Vehicross. I can't believe an Isuzu ranked number 4 on the Doug car suggestions, but the Vehicross was a special SUV. It was sort of like a Wrangler, except you couldn't move the roof off of it, but it was sort of ridiculous looking. There's not too many nice Vehicrosses out there still, but maybe I'll try to find one. Number 3 with 197 votes was the Land Rover Defender. This doesn't surprise me considering the popularity of a Land Rover Defender video I did earlier this year. It's a British institution, a highly capable off-road SUV. Number 2 with 293 suggestions, almost 100 more than number 3, that would be the Pontiac Aztek. The Pontiac Aztek is well regarded to be one of the ugliest vehicles ever made. It came out in the late 90s or maybe the early 2000s. I've blocked it out of my mind. It's a ridiculous car. Finding one in good shape would be hard, but I admit it would be hilarious. And by the way, Aztek is spelled with a K and not with a C. I got more misspelled suggestions for the Pontiac Aztek than I got suggestions for some of the most popular cars on the list. I have no idea why GM decided to spell it with a K instead of a C like the ancient civilization. Add it to the list of absurdities about that vehicle. And number 1, the easy winner with 452 votes, the Ford F-150 Raptor. Everybody wants to see what would happen with a Raptor. They're really big, burly muscle trucks, and they're really cool. I've always loved them. As for the interesting details, well, YouTube loved the Pontiac Aztek. I have no idea why. It finished 3rd or 4th on every other platform, but it was by far the most popular #1 response on YouTube. Similarly, Reddit loved the Ford F650 truck, which was suggested virtually nowhere else. It didn't even crack the top 30 on Oversteer. Less surprising, nearly half the suggestions were for American-made vehicles. No surprise, considering I was looking for trucks and SUVs. Also, more than 85% of the suggestions were for vehicles made within the last 25 years. Also no surprise, given the recent rise in popularity of trucks and SUVs. So what did I get? Well, I always choose something from the top 10 Doug car suggestions, and I've done that again this year. But I'm not going to tell you what it is until I buy it. So keep waiting, be patient, and stay tuned for the upcoming unveiling of the new Doug car.